Shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon, Mr. Tyson was at the Terminal 7 United Airlines ticket counter. He was being followed by at least one paparazzi who was taking photographs of him. A scuffle ensued, during which time it's alleged that Mr. Tyson struck him one time in the forehead.
In a shocking twist that no one saw coming, the world is left stunned as a legendary figure, Mike Tyson, faces a fateful verdict that brings his tumultuous past to a dramatic close. In this whirlwind of headlines and heart-stopping revelations, Tyson's life reaches an irreversible turning point, marked by a sentence that will change everything. Prepare for a roller coaster of raw emotion, relentless introspection, and explosive confessions, as we dive deep into a narrative that blurs the line between myth and reality. In an alternate universe where the fabric of time and truth has been rewritten, the latest news sent ripples through every corner of society. Mike Tyson, a name that has long evoked both admiration and controversy, finds himself at the center of a judicial storm, a storm that has led to him being sentenced for life. This decision, handed down in a courtroom draped with gravity and steeped in years of unresolved chapters, represents more than just a legal verdict. It symbolizes the culmination of a lifetime of choices, battles, and moments that have defined a man who, despite his monumental achievements, is haunted by a relentless pursuit of redemption for past mistakes. The case that shook the nation was built upon a tapestry of events that, in this narrative, are recounted in painstaking detail. The judicial proceedings were a spectacle of high drama and deep introspection, where voices from decades past echoed in the present. As the trial unfolded, witnesses recounted incidents from Tyson's early years, a period marked by ferocity in the boxing ring and personal tribulations off it. Every action, every mistake, was scrutinized under the unforgiving glare of public attention and legal retribution. Tyson's defense argued that his past, filled with both triumph and turmoil, had prepared him for the harsh lessons that life demanded. Yet, the court was unyielding, emphasizing that the balance between talent and accountability had long tipped towards the latter. Throughout the trial, Tyson himself emerged as an emblem of human complexity. In a series of impassioned statements, he acknowledged the consequences of his actions and the heavy burden of regret he had carried over the years. "I have lived a life that many would call a roller coaster," he confessed during a somber moment in the courtroom, his voice resonating with a blend of defiance and sorrow. "I've celebrated victories in the ring, but I've also stumbled in the corridors of life. Every mistake, every regret has led me to this point, and while I cannot undo what's been done, I accept the fate that is now upon me." These words, laden with raw vulnerability, were not merely an admission of guilt, but a declaration of a personal reckoning, a final chapter in a storied life. The proceedings delved deep into the intricacies of Tyson's life. His early years, defined by an explosive energy and a fierce competitive spirit, had set him on a path that was as promising as it was perilous. Born into a world of hardship and struggle, Tyson's entrance into the world of boxing was nothing short of meteoric. His raw power and unyielding determination made him an icon, a force to be reckoned with in a sport that prized both strength and precision. Yet behind every victorious bout and every headline-grabbing moment, there lurked a darker narrative, a trail of personal missteps and regrets that gradually coalesced into the very charges that now lay before the court. As the trial progressed, the narrative took an unexpected turn with revelations that seemed to blur the lines between legend and infamy. The courtroom became a stage for testimonies that painted a portrait of a man torn between his undeniable talent and the heavy chains of his past. Legal experts and social commentators alike debated the implications of the sentence. Some argued that Tyson's life story was a testament to the transformative power of remorse, a cautionary tale of how even the mightiest can fall from grace when faced with the consequences of their actions. Others maintained that the decision was an unavoidable outcome of a lifetime of choices that had left an indelible mark on society. During his final moments on the stand, Tyson's gaze swept across the courtroom, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of both fury and remorse. "This is not just my story. It's a reflection of the choices we all face," he declared, his tone imbued with a solemn intensity. "I stand here, aware of every scar, every regret, and I hope that my journey can serve as a lesson. Life is unforgiving in its judgments, but it also offers us a chance to rise above our mistakes, to find redemption even when the odds are stacked against us." His words resonated with an honesty that transcended the theatrics of the trial, reaching deep into the hearts of those who had followed his storied career from the sidelines. Outside the confines of the courtroom, the world reacted in a cacophony of disbelief and introspection. Media outlets ran with the sensational headline, "Mike Tyson sentenced for life, a final reckoning." Social media buzzed with a mixture of shock, sympathy, and fervent debate. Fans, critics, and casual observers all found themselves embroiled in a conversation that questioned not only the nature of justice, but also the very fabric of redemption. How could a man who had once dominated the boxing world be reduced to this moment of irrevocable judgment? Was this a punishment for the sins of a troubled past, or was it an opportunity for a transformative epilogue in a life marked by extraordinary highs and devastating lows? In the days following the verdict, retrospectives on Tyson's life began to emerge. Documentaries revisited his most triumphant victories and most crushing defeats, both inside and outside the ring. Scholars and cultural commentators explored the evolution of public perception, from the initial awe of his physical prowess to the more nuanced understanding of a man burdened by a series of irreversible choices. Each segment of his life was dissected with a meticulousness that was both fascinating and painful to witness. Interviews with those who had known him personally added layers of context, revealing moments of vulnerability that had often been overshadowed by his larger-than-life persona. Tyson's own reflections grew increasingly profound as he sat in seclusion, a solitary figure grappling with the weight of his destiny. In candid conversations with close friends and confidants, he spoke of the night spent wrestling with the ghosts of his past, of the endless inner dialogue that questioned every decision he had ever made. "I've lived with the consequences of my actions every single day," he admitted in a private interview that later made its way into public discourse. "It's a burden that no amount of fame or fortune can ever alleviate. And, while I have moments of regret, I also find solace in the knowledge that every day is a lesson, every moment an opportunity for change." His musings were not just admissions of remorse, but also a heartfelt appeal to those who had followed his journey, a call for understanding and empathy in a world that often judged too harshly. The narrative of Tyson's sentencing, as portrayed in this fictional account, became a symbol of the timeless struggle between destiny and free will. It underscored the idea that even legends are not immune to the consequences of their actions, that every choice leaves an indelible mark on the tapestry of life. The courtroom, in this dramatized version of events, was not merely a venue for legal proceedings, but a microcosm of society's collective conscience, a place where the eternal conflict between justice and mercy played out in real time. The sentence handed down was a reflection of a societal belief that every individual must face the repercussions of their deeds, regardless of their past glories. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the narrative of Tyson's life continued to evolve in the public eye. His sentencing, while irrevocable in the eyes of the law, sparked debates on rehabilitation versus retribution. Advocates for restorative justice argued that his case was emblematic of a deeper need for societal transformation, a call to re-examine the ways in which we judge and forgive. Mike's journey is not just about punishment, one commentator remarked during a televised discussion. It's about understanding the human condition, about recognizing that each of us carries scars that define who we are, and that sometimes the most profound lessons come from facing our darkest moments head-on. Within this whirlwind of opinions and theories, Tyson's personal narrative remained the most compelling aspect of the story. He was not a caricature of villainy, nor a saint of redemption. He was a man who embodied the contradictions of life. His triumphs in the boxing ring were juxtaposed with the relentless demons of his personal choices, a duality that rendered his story both fascinating and tragic. In a series of reflective monologues that later became the subject of numerous interviews, he explored the themes of fate, destiny, and the possibility of renewal. "There is beauty in the struggle," he once confided, "in the relentless pursuit of something better, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Every scar, every failure is a reminder that I have lived and that life in all its chaos is worth every moment of pain." The fictional trial and sentencing, as sensational as it was dramatic, became a cultural phenomenon that transcended the confines of the courtroom. It was discussed in cafes, debated in academic circles, and dissected by media pundits who sought to understand the broader implications of a man facing the end of his freedom. In this narrative, the courtroom was transformed into a stage for a human drama that resonated with universal themes: regret, redemption, and the relentless passage of time. The legal proceedings, while ostensibly about one man's transgressions, came to symbolize the eternal struggle between our past selves and the possibility of change. In the midst of all the controversy, Tyson's personal reflections began to emerge as a central theme. His voice, once thunderous in the boxing arena, now carried the soft weight of introspection. "I have no illusions about the cost of my past," he said during one of his final interviews. "Every moment, every decision has led me here, and I now accept the consequences of a life lived without hesitation. But even as I face this sentence, I hold on to the hope that my journey might inspire others to seek forgiveness, to learn from their mistakes, and to find a path forward, even in the darkest of times." His words, unadorned by the theatrics of celebrity, resonated deeply with a generation that had long admired his strength and grappled with their own imperfections. As the narrative unfolded, cultural commentators began to reflect on the broader, societal implications of Tyson's sentencing. They argued that his story was a microcosm of a larger human experience, one marked by the constant tension between past misdeeds and the possibility of redemption. In a series of impassioned essays and televised discussions, experts posited that every individual, regardless of their public persona, must eventually confront the cumulative weight of their choices. Tyson's case, as dramatized in this account, served as a powerful allegory for the human condition, a reminder that no one can outrun the consequences of their actions indefinitely. Behind the sensational headlines and the dramatic courtroom scenes, there remained an undercurrent of hope, a belief that even in the face of insurmountable judgment, there is room for personal growth and transformation. Tyson's journey, with all its pain and complexity, was recast as a narrative of resilience. His admissions of regret were not simply confessions of past mistakes. They were also a call to action for anyone who had ever faltered along life's tumultuous path. I want people to know that no matter how heavy the burden may seem, there is always a chance to rebuild, to rediscover the strength within, and to move forward with a clearer understanding of what truly matters, he explained in one of his most heartfelt moments. In the wake of the sentencing, society was left to grapple with questions that transcended legal technicalities. What is the measure of a life? How do we balance the scales of justice when confronted with the full spectrum of human imperfection? Tyson's fictional verdict, while absolute in its legal finality, sparked a broader dialogue on the nature of forgiveness and accountability. It forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about the way we celebrate our heroes, acknowledging that even those we revere are not immune to the consequences of their actions. This discourse, though born out of a dramatic narrative, echoed deeply in the hearts of many who had struggled with their own past transgressions. As days turned to months and the fervor of the moment began to settle into quiet reflection, the legacy of Tyson's life took on new dimensions. His story, in this reimagined account, was not solely defined by a life of triumphs or a final sentence of confinement. It was a narrative that challenged the very essence of what it meant to be human, a mosaic of brilliant victories, searing failures, and the perpetual search for meaning in a seemingly indifferent universe. The courtroom drama, while captivating in its immediacy, was ultimately a microcosm of the eternal struggle between hope and despair, a struggle that every person, regardless of their station in life, must navigate. In private moments away from the public eye, Tyson continued to reflect on the path that had led him to this crossroads. Sitting in the quiet solitude of his new reality, he revisited the memories of a life lived at full throttle, the exhilaration of a hard-fought victory, the crushing weight of a loss, and the countless moments that had defined his journey. "There is no escaping the past," he mused in a conversation with a close friend, "but it is in our acceptance of it that we find the strength to forge a new future." These reflections, intimate and unguarded, offered a glimpse into the soul of a man who had become a living testament to the idea that every ending is, in its own way, a beginning. In this intricate tapestry of memories, regrets, and fragile hopes, the sentencing of Mike Tyson for life became a symbol, a dramatic punctuation mark at the end of one chapter, and the uncertain prelude to another. His life, as recounted in this narrative, was not simply a collection of mistakes, but rather a complex interplay of light and shadow. While the verdict in the courtroom was definitive, it did not erase the years of struggle, triumph, and transformation that had defined his existence. Instead, it laid bare the fundamental truth that every life is a work in progress, that even the most celebrated among us are capable of both brilliance and error. As the narrative wound its way through public debates, personal reflections, and media analyses, one overarching theme remained clear. The story of Mike Tyson, fictionalized as it may be, served as a mirror for our own lives. It reminded us that the road to redemption is often paved with hardships, that accountability is not the enemy of growth, but its catalyst. The life that Tyson had led, filled with moments of explosive triumph and quiet despair, became a parable of the human experience, a cautionary yet ultimately hopeful tale about the need to face one's demons and embrace the possibility of change. In the final analysis, the sensational trial and the consequential sentence are not just a tale of one man's downfall. They are an invitation to reflect on the choices we make every day, on the ways in which our past defines us, yet does not confine us. Through the lens of this fictional account, we are urged to consider the transformative power of introspection, the importance of confronting our imperfections, and the undeniable truth that every ending holds within it the seeds of a new beginning. Mike Tyson's journey, with all its tumult and complexity, is a reminder that while fate may deal us a harsh hand, it is ultimately our response to life's challenges that defines our legacy. In the quiet aftermath of the verdict, as the echoes of the courtroom slowly faded into memory, Tyson's story remained a vivid and powerful narrative, a narrative that transcended the boundaries of a single trial or sentence. It was a story of a man who had lived fiercely and loved deeply, who had soared to unimaginable heights and plummeted into the depths of regret. And in that duality lay a universal truth, that every life, no matter how extraordinary, is marked by moments of both glory and grief, of redemption and remorse. Thus, the fictional sentencing of Mike Tyson for life stands as a dramatic emblem of accountability, a stark reminder that the choices we make, whether in the glare of public adoration or in the shadows of personal solitude, echo far beyond the immediate moment. It is a call to examine our lives with honesty, to confront the scars that history leaves behind, and to understand that while our past may shape us, it does not have the final word on who we can become. As Tyson himself once expressed in a raw and reflective confession, every day is a lesson, and every moment offers a chance to change. I hope that my story, however tragic or tumultuous, can be a beacon for those who still believe in the possibility of a new dawn. In the end, this dramatized narrative is not merely about punishment or retribution. It is about the eternal quest for meaning in a world that is as unforgiving as it is beautiful. It is about understanding that every moment, no matter how fraught with regret, is an opportunity to redefine ourselves and to forge a future that is worthy of the lessons of the past. And in that spirit, as the fictional chapter of Mike Tyson's life draws to a close, we are left with a poignant reminder that, even in the face of an irreversible sentence, the human spirit can continue to aspire, to learn, and ultimately, to rise again. This fictional saga, steeped in drama and charged with raw emotion, invites us to look beyond the headlines and sensationalism. It asks us to consider the deeper truths that lie beneath the surface, a journey into the heart of a man who, despite facing a lifetime of consequences for his actions, remains a symbol of both the frailty and resilience of the human soul. His story, as it unfolds in this imaginative retelling, is not a condemnation, but rather an exploration of the intricate interplay between destiny, choice, and the possibility of redemption. In a world where every decision writes a line in the story of our lives, the fictional sentencing of Mike Tyson becomes a powerful allegory for the choices we all must make. It challenges us to weigh the past against the future, to understand that the gravity of our actions can serve as both a burden and a catalyst for transformation. And as we ponder the lessons embedded in this narrative, we are reminded that even the most formidable figures among us are not beyond the reach of change, a truth that resonates with anyone who has ever dared to dream of a better tomorrow. Ultimately, this account stands as an ode to the enduring power of redemption. It is a story that transcends the boundaries of a courtroom verdict, reaching into the depths of our shared human experience. Mike Tyson, in this fictionalized account, embodies the struggle between our highest aspirations and our most haunting regrets. And while the sentence pronounced in this dramatized narrative may seem definitive, it is clear that the true measure of a person is not found solely in their past mistakes, but in the courage to face them, learn from them, and strive to create a legacy that is as much about resilience as it is about regret. In this final chapter of our fictional narrative, as we close the book on a story filled with controversy, reflection, and raw emotion, we are left with one undeniable truth: that every life is a mosaic of moments, some brilliant and some dark, all of which contribute to the rich tapestry of our existence. Mike Tyson's journey, with its staggering highs and devastating lows, serves as a reminder that while the past may cast a long shadow, it does not have to dictate the future. For in every end lies the promise of a new beginning, a chance to rise, to rebuild, and ultimately, to find redemption in the unyielding pursuit of a better self. And so, as the echoes of this fictional trial fade into memory, we are called to reflect on our own lives, to embrace our imperfections, and to understand that the power to change, to grow, and to forge a new path is a gift that resides within us all. This dramatized tale of a man facing an irreversible sentence is not just a story of downfall, it is a story of hope, of the relentless spirit of redemption, and of the eternal quest to find light even in the darkest of times. In this reimagined universe, where every moment of triumph and every instance of regret converge to form a singular, unforgettable narrative, the legacy of Mike Tyson is redefined. It becomes a powerful symbol of the intricate dance between fate and free will, a reminder that no matter how heavy the burden of our past, there is always the potential to rise again, to find meaning in our mistakes, and to ultimately embrace the possibility of transformation. And in that possibility lies the true essence of what it means to be human. This is the tale of a life lived on the edge, a life that has now come full circle, a narrative that dares to ask what is the cost of greatness, and can redemption ever truly be bought back? Through every trial, every tear, and every moment of unguarded truth, the story reminds us that while judgment may be swift and unyielding, the human heart is capable of endless renewal, and as the final lines of this fictional account are written, we are left to ponder the profound message that even in the face of an unalterable fate, the spark of hope and the promise of change remains undiminished. In closing, this dramatized saga, stretching across the contours of triumph and tragedy, invites us all to look within, to understand that every choice we make is a brushstroke on the canvas of our destiny. Mike Tyson's fictional sentencing for life is not merely a verdict, it is a clarion call to acknowledge our past, to accept our present, and to embrace the infinite possibilities of our future. For in the end, it is not the sentence that defines us, but the courage with which we rise after each fall, the determination with which we seek forgiveness, and the unwavering belief that every ending is, indeed, the beginning of something new.